Hello everybody, it is I, Blitz2010, and we're back again with another Minecraft tour video. Today we'll be exploring the school that I recently built called Belenger Middle School. Many of you guys requested for me to do this tour, so we are doing it today. But please do note, when you are uploading this world to your Minecraft, please use EagleCraft, which is a browser version of Minecraft. I am currently using the 1.8.8 update since it's the only way you can upload this world since it's meant for 1.8. But yeah, why don't we begin this tour, shall we? When you start off, you can eventually see the sign right here, which says Belenger Middle School, of course. And you are here at the parking lot. Now the cars could need some improvement, but it was the best I could do, since there really wasn't much things to do in 1.8 edition. But the creator of EagleCraft, this little fact, this is basically their favorite update. So it's also kind of my favorite update too. And if you're wondering what these are the street lights. Although they do kind of malfunction because during the daylight sometimes they will just be still on when they're supposed to be off, and they only they're only supposed to be turning on at nighttime. So yeah. We also got some buses over here that I built as well for the major detail in this school. Yes, you can go inside these buses, but they're not drivable because it's, Minecraft, so. But when you walk in one of these buses, don't mind the sheep being in here, but there are 4 seats. One of the seats are the bus driver's seat, along with the steering wheel and the stick shift. There's also a door here to close and open the thing. But yeah, now let's walk into the school, shall we? The school is pretty much very simple. Kind of very similar to my elementary school that I used to go to back then. But over here is the main attendance office where you check in if you are a late student or you are a car rider trying to walk in to get yourself, checked in. There's also a chest over here as well that shows all of the letter E schools that I used to create the words in this area. Like for example the sign. I used these custom E skulls, aka Minecraft skulls. And I just wrote letters on them of all the alphabets so I can be able to create cool signs like as you can see up here. But yeah. Let's start by walking into the school building. When you begin, you are met by the main hallway. It's pretty decent, and yes, you can see the references of my elementary school, which maybe many of you don't know of my elementary school. I'm not going to disclose the name because I don't want to do it for, privacy reasons, and I don't want to be exposing the school and stuff, but yeah, this is the main hallway. Pretty decent. There are 4 hallways. We'll be going through those in a little bit. Over here is the main office / counselor's office along with the principal and admin. We'll get to that. So when you walk in, here's the attendance clerk. The attendance will come up over here. You will come up over here and you will check in for your student. And over here is the counselor, principal, and admin's office. Well, one of the admins. There's many more admins in this school building, which you'll eventually see. When you walk in, you got your first admin, which is Mr. Tom. Pretty decent, but small classroom. Or not classroom, but an office. Same with this one as well. This is the counselor. Also pretty small. And here's the principal. Also pretty small. But yeah. Now, let's get back to the main hallway. Or the main hall, I like to call it. And let's explore the first hallway of the school, aka the 7th grade. This was the first hallway I built when I was first starting to build this school. And over here you can see I've also built a fire alarm system, as you can tell. And over here, here's all the restrooms. If you know it's a restroom, it will say the restroom sign, of course. And boys are blue, and the magenta is for the girls. All the classrooms look very similar to each other. For example, this one's a science classroom. It has a orange wall in the front along with a Promethean board, aka I like to call these the Active 9 Promethean boards. It's a Pacific Promethean board that my middle school used to use. My high school might get these boards sometime soon. But also, if you're wondering what this is over here, it's like the chemistry area of each science classroom. Remember, all science classrooms have these, since it's kind of like built in and stuff. Although my elementary school and my high school did kind of have like separate lab rooms, but in my middle school they had something similar to this. As you can see here with the brewing stands and all the sinks. And over here we got the teachers, not teacher's desk, but the student's desk. Oh, this must be the teacher then. But over here is the teacher's desk. They look very similar. You'll see these a lot when you're walking around the school. And over here, all classrooms have these, the whiteboard with teachers like write down something with a sign over here. They can place it and type whatever they want. And if you want to play with your friends, like do a school roleplay, this world is highly recommended because there's lots to explore if you ever want to do a middle school roleplay. But yeah. But the 7th grade hallway is mostly orange, as you can tell. That's basically, they're color coded for each hallway. You can tell the 8th grade down there is blue. And the 6th grade is eventually, red, while the other hallway we'll be discussing about in a little bit is magenta. The lockers are pretty simple. I just put 2 blocks up along with some banners of the same color. And like I said, how all the classrooms look very similar, you can tell majorly. Over here on this side, it's based off of an actual classroom I have in my high school. Let me just get inside. Very short roof and stuff. But you'll see that change a lot when it hits the next part of this hallway. Over here you can see outside, which is pretty interesting. Also, I forgot to mention, the fire alarm does work. I have it operational, so if you ever want to test it, but be sure to reset the system. But first, let me demonstrate it so that way you guys can see what I'm talking about. Here's the pull station, which I'm not going to activate this pull station because if you pull it down, and you will have to switch it back up in order to, not let the system go off while you're trying to reset it. But this is the control panel room. We got the reset button over here, along with the fire button, which is the simple way. So for pulling the pull station over here, you can just press this button, it'll go off. It has an easier way for you resetting the system without having to switch this back. But it's aka another pull station right here. But let me demonstrate this real quick. It works, as you can tell, and it goes off from the entire building, as you can tell. For every classroom has its own fire alarm system as well. Let me show you off this classroom. If you notice, it's a bit larger than the other classrooms I've recently showed you. And you can see the fire alarm does work inside here. Letting the students know, yo, we gotta get out of this building. For any of my fire alarm enthusiast fans out there, but yeah. Let me just reset the system real quick, although it does take a little bit to reset. Just give it a moment. But yeah, it's a very small control panel room, but it works. And the system should be off now. Oh, it does take a minute, as you can tell. It's because this button right here does, get stuck. There we go. And the system is now getting close to resetting. Okay, it turned off. But yeah, that's basically how the fire alarm system works. Ooh. Yeah, never mind. It does take a little bit to turn off. It's one downside, but it is what it is. But as like I said earlier, all classrooms in this hallway and the hallway down there are a bit taller because of the size. And they're a little bit shorter, but not too short. Here's the window. You can see outside a bunch of little trees, but the classroom looks very similar, as you can tell. You got some stuff over here. This is the ELA classroom, by the way. Now let's explore the other side, because I also added an admin over here in the very end of the hall. But over here is a storage room. All storage rooms looks exactly like this. Very simple. Here's some more lockers, the wall kind of lockers, except for the ones that's in the other hallways down there. And some rooms have these please use the door, referring to use the main door, not the door right there. So in my high school, they had something similar to this. Excuse me for the way I talk. I do, overlap sometimes. But over here is an admin. I will eventually add some stuff here because I'm currently putting some updates in this world, which I'll eventually put the newer update version into Planet Minecraft when I'm done. So yeah, it's under a little bit some renovations, but not too much renovations. If you're noticing here, some classrooms do have ceiling mount fire alarm systems. But yeah, here's what the Promethean boards look like when they're turned on. It's just a bunch of paintings. But I'm going to eventually add some, admin's desk here along with some whatever stuff I can add. But yeah. There's also exits over here for in case of an emergency, they just walk out these doors. Now, we're going to be exploring the next hallway over here, which is called the lunchroom / gym. Now, over here, it's kind of based off of how my middle school is, along with my high school and my elementary school is. You can see a lot of references. For example, the windows over here is based off of how my middle school was, where it had 3 windows, triple windows. You can see inside when we walk in. It does look very similar to my elementary school and my high school, like I said earlier. Also, these are the fire alarms a little bit, but they just look a little bit different. Here's where you walk in to, get your food. The kitchen is back there, which we'll see that in a little bit. And you walk out through the other side, where you pay for your food over here. Or you scan your ID, and that works too. And you just go eat your lunch over here on one of these desks, or the desk out there if your teacher allows you to do that. Over here is the, stage for in case of a performance from like chorus, band, strings, all that kind of stuff that will perform up here on the stage for all students and for people who, attend, who want to see this, they can come see the students perform. We got some villagers here along with some iron golems, so yes, you will see that a lot when you're employing this world to your Minecraft. So yeah, don't mind these guys, they're just exploring here. If you're wondering what this room is over here, it's just a little bit of a storage room. You can place all the, they usually place all of the, desk, like the lunchroom desk inside here. I don't know why there's a villager in there. Now, let's explore the kitchen. It is part of the lunchroom. You can see it all the way back here. When you walk in, here's a bunch of crafting stuff for all the teachers, not teachers, but the lunchroom staff to make their food for the students. And yeah, I will be eventually adding doors here because there's supposed to be doors here, but I forgot to add those doors, so I'll add that in the newest update I put in. Now, over here is the gymnasium, very similar to the auxiliary gym in my high school, but some differences, like for example the benches, the benches that are not in the auxiliary gym, but yeah. You can also see the same similar fire alarm system. It does go off in here as well. But over here is the boys' locker room. Very simple, as you can tell. And over here, if you go down the hall, or the entire gym, is the girls' locker room. Yeah. You can go check that out if you guys want to. There's also some extras over there as well. Now, let's get out of this hallway and explore the next hallway of the school. Now this next hallway that we're going to explore next is the 6th grade hallway. Very simple, but very short as well, because there's not much students in the 6th grade hallway. We also got similar fire alarm system as the 7th grade hallway. But the classrooms are a little bit different this time. I'm not treading with the villager. But also, if you're wondering, I did add a little bit of a Jeb guy over here, the Jeb slash, which allows the sheep to turn rainbow, I guess. But if you notice the difference here, this time the wall is red, referencing how the 6th grade colors are. This is also a science classroom at the same time as well. Has a similar stuff as the 7th grade. But yeah. If you scroll down over here, there's a lot of villagers here, so yes, it's very populated with the villagers. They love to explore the school. If you go down to over here in the very end, there's more classrooms. But there's only like 3. This is Miss Tempest, which is 205. Very simple. Over here's another classroom. Oh, real quick. Yes, sometimes this world does get a little bit laggy. It's just because of my computer, but it happens. But if you notice, some classrooms also have the ceiling mount fire alarms. Very different. Now let's get out of this classroom. And over here is the ISS, or students who disbehave or, misbehave in the class. They have to end up in here, which is kind of like detention, but, in school suspension and stuff. They had that in my high school and my middle school, so, yeah. Kind of thing that goes around. But over here, you notice here, the sign, or the area where the teachers write down for the whiteboard looks a little bit different, because this classroom is a little bit different. And if you notice over here, the lights are a little bit off. This is how I make them look when they turn off. Very simple. It's very dark in here too. That's also a fire alarm system as well. Now, if you look over here to the right, or the left actually, this is another admin's classroom, which is completed. This is what an admin classroom would look like compared to the one in the 7th grade hallway. There's a window over here and a window over there, including a window right here. And yes, all of the admins except for the one in the admin, not the admin. Well, basically, all of the admins, well, except for the one in the attendance clerk office, has a window that goes out of the classroom, or not really a classroom, but the admin's office. There's also another window over here where you can see outside, just like a 7th grader. There's also an exit over here on both sides, including an exit over there as well, you can see, that leads to the other hallway we discussed about earlier. Now, let's explore the final hallway. Now, this is the final hallway of the school, aka the 8th grade. Once you walk in, there's also the entrance to the library. Very simple and very quiet as well, so you have to be very quiet in case of, students are trying to read their books. But it looks very similar to my high school's library. I did it really, got some references based off of the actual school. Over here is some offices, but I will be eventually adding some stuff since I did not add it in the previous update I did for you guys. Which, don't worry, I will be adding some more stuff soon. There's some more rooms. And another room. And this leads out to here. To where, the media center attendance just, gets here to check your books and stuff when you're ready to check out. But yeah, that's basically the library. Now, let's explore some of the 8th grade classrooms. If you notice as well, the lockers did change again, except for red or red or orange. It changed to blue, just like how my high school is. But if you notice, the classrooms have blue walls, just like my Hillcrest High School. My actual high school and stuff, but if you also notice, the desks look very, very different. It's based off of that one tour video I did with using the Minecraft Pocket Edition. I did similar desk designs, but just different colors. You can see the teacher says looks also the similar, the same thing. But yeah. Now, the fire alarms do change a little bit as well. Kind of very similar, but like I said earlier, most of these classrooms look identical to each other, just the different colors and stuff look very different. Including the desk. That's one thing as well, like I mentioned earlier. Sometimes the fire alarm system just likes to get stuck like this, so I'm eventually gonna have to figure out how to fix that. I hope I can, but it is what it is for now. If you look at the end of the hallway, we just get over here. Oh, it's actually over here. Maybe not. It's actually over here, I think. Yeah. Over here is, a planning room. Also, real quick, I will be posting a blueprint of this school, in case if you guys are wondering. I'll be putting that as like an image with the diagram, with the gallery for the Planet Minecraft world that I'll eventually put in for the newest update, including the blueprint. But yeah, this is what a planning room looks like. They have these in my high school, and the Promethean board's also on in this room, as you can tell. There's also a tiny little office right here. Very mild and very, very simple and very cramped. Over here, we get back to the old style of the hallways from the 7th grade. You can see the major differences, along with over here, the storage room. Very similar. And over here, if you noticed, this is pretty new. I did not add this in the current update I have in the Planet Minecraft world, but these are just new windows I just put in. Because, why not? Oh wait, let me close this. Let me show you the first one. We got the band room. They're pretty similar, just really big rooms. These, are supposed to represent the music notes and, the books that they pull out for when they gotta play some music and stuff. And the band director, or any director, just stands up here and tells students, start performing and stuff. They also got their desk over here as well. It's a pretty big room, but it is what it is. If you look over here, here's another, which is the orchestra room. Very similar to the band room, but it's just mirrored. And yeah, you can tell it's mirrored. There's also an exit as well that leads the students out in case of an emergency. Now let's explore the final area. The final area over here, which is the chorus room. And the chorus room looks a little bit different, and it looks very small. Because there's not much students choosing this class, so I had to fit in as much, desks as possible to fit in this small little room. If Here's the office, which is surprising that this classroom does have an office for the teacher while the other two classrooms do not. Disappointing, but it is what it is. Here's another storage room. And yeah, that's basically it for this hallway right here. Now let's get to the other side of the 8th grade hallway before we end this tour. When we go on this side of the hallway, here's the, this classroom over here, which is the Spanish classroom, which is Miss Valentina. This is what her classroom looks like. Very simple. We got Mexico over here. I think it's supposed to represent Guatemala, I think. But yeah, we got some normal Spanish stuff, ella and él, along with some, como se dice en inglés, blink in English. Very simple. But you can tell by it looks back at the 7th grade classroom, how the roof is very small. And the only difference is with the final system, it's just ceiling mounts, just like how the other classrooms were. Over here, for the mirrored, is Miss Larkspur, which is the art classroom. Very, very artistic with the amount of paintings in the room. The desks look very different as well. They're very, clumped together. And yeah, this is where the students, craft stuff and create amazing art pieces that they can display in the hallway, as you can tell. From right over here, this is from their arts. Some of their typical arts the students do make. This is the theater classroom, which is Miss Steelford, Mr. Steelford. Very, very small, but it was the best I could do. But it's not too bad of a classroom, I would say. Now over here is the final admin, which is the 8th grade admin, which is Mr. Smith. Very simple, but very similar. You can see the outside to the, main area. But yeah, if you haven't noticed, over here is a portable classroom. The portable classroom is just only one. It's blank. There's nothing inside it. But yeah. Everybody. That concludes for this video today. Hope you guys like and subscribe. And recommend me if you want to see more tutorials, or not tutorials, but more tours. I might think of doing more tours in the future. But it's up to you guys if you ever want me to. But yeah. Hope you guys enjoy this world. It did take me a while to build. But yeah, I'll see you guys later, so peace out, y'all.